Greetings, everyone. This is Robert Landau, Live Life Well TV host, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of a trivia program here on Live Life Well TV that we call True or False. And I would like to extend a special welcome to you because this is our special television trivia episode. Stay tuned. This is how it's going to work. I have a whole bunch of interesting television-based trivia questions for you, and all you have to do is sit back, relax, have fun, and guess if each question that I'm posing to you happens to be true or false. These questions have been taken from two wonderful websites on the web, metv.com as well as howstuffworks.com. So, are you ready? Here we go. True or false, Saturday Night Live isn't the first show to be called Saturday Night Live. Once again, the question is true or false, Saturday Night Live isn't the first show to be called Saturday Night Live. True or false? The answer to that happens to be true. True. Here's why. From 1975 to 1976, there actually was another program with the same name of Saturday Night Live that featured the one and only Howard Cosell. As a matter of fact, I vaguely remember that. Do you? Next true or false question under the television theme goes like this. True or false? One of the 5 dogs that played Lassie lived to be older than 17. True or false? Only one of the 5 dogs that played Lassie lived to be older than 17. True or false? That happens to be false. 4 of them, 4 out of the 5 dogs that played Lassie during that incredible show's run lived to be older than 17. Next up, true or false, Rod Serling wanted Marlon Brando to read The Twilight Zone's opening monologue. Remember that show, The Twilight Zone? Great show, still stands up very well today, and of course created by the one and only Rod Serling. So here was that question again, true or false. Rod Serling wanted Marlon Brando to read The Twilight Zone's opening monologue. What do you think? True or false? That actually is false. Serling really wanted the great Orson Welles to read the opening monologue of The Twilight Zone each episode, but the show couldn't afford what Orson Welles wanted to be paid. Orson Welles was incredible. Do you remember him from his many appearances on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson? They were really good friends, and Johnny respected Orson Welles because Johnny knew that Welles had such incredible vision and ideas about what entertainment media really should be, not necessarily what it is now. Citizen Kane, Welles's most amazing film. It's a masterwork. It's a masterwork. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest that you take a look at it. You'll never forget it. Next true or false question goes like this. Dean Martin wanted to play the Joker in Batman. Remember the TV series Batman? True or false? Dean Martin actually wanted to play the Joker in the TV series Batman. That actually is false. You'll never believe who wanted to play the Joker. Frank Sinatra. I just can't see that, but maybe that's me. Dean Martin, maybe, but interesting fact, don't you think? Next up is this. Lucille Ball dyed her hair when TV started broadcasting in color. True or false, Lucille Ball dyed her hair when TV started broadcasting in color. What do you think? True or false? I think you probably know the answer to that. The answer, of course, is false. Lucille Ball, from what I remember, actually had her hair dyed red for the first time when she was under contract with, I think it was MGM. Um, First, they dyed her hair blonde, but then they realized that there were so many stars in that studio who already had blonde hair. They didn't want Lucy to fall into all of that huge category. So they knew that she was unique. They knew that she was special. They knew that she was multi-talented. So they gave her a hair color that would make her stand out. Red. Incredible idea. Great idea. Next up is this. True or false? The pilot for the show ER was written in 1984, a decade before the show actually premiered. True or false? The pilot for ER was written back in 1984, an entire decade before the show actually premiered. True or false? That happens to be false. The pilot was actually written in 1974, 2 decades before ER actually premiered on air. Next up is this. The bewitched house was also the house in I Dream of Jeannie. True or false? The bewitched house was also the same house that was used in I Dream of Jeannie. True or false? What do you think? Just take a guess. That happens to be true. That happens to be true. Next up, in Mork and Mindy, Mork is from the planet Ork. True or false? In the wonderful sitcom Mork and Mindy, Mork is from the planet Ork. That happens to be true. Mork and Mindy was a spin-off of the popular TV show Happy Days, if you didn't already know. And Mork was played by whom? Remember? Did you ever see it? The incredible Robin Williams, the one and only Robin Williams. So here's the next true or false question. See if you can guess what one of those is correct when I ask you this. Peter Falk starred in the TV crime drama Columbo. True or false? Peter Falk starred in the TV crime drama Columbo. Well, I think you know the answer to that if you've ever seen Columbo. That happens to be true. Did you know, by the way, that the Falks, Peter Falk and his wife, were neighbors of Lucy and Desi Arnaz in Hollywood? How about that? Aren't you glad you tuned in now? Anyway, Columbo premiered back in 1968. The original series ran until 1978 and also came back on air in 1989. True or false? Archie Bunker and his family lived in Queens, New York. You remember All in the Family? Then see if you can get the answer to this. True or false? Archie Bunker and his family lived in Queens, New York. I remember that. I used to watch All in the Family every week and loved every sarcastic minute of it. The answer to the question happens to be true. All in the Family premiered back in 1971, and with Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker, the show was an instant hit. It was produced by the one and only Norman Lear, who is a brilliant guy. It also was responsible for 2 spin-off hits. Maude, with the one and only Beatrice Arthur, and I wonder if you remember The Jeffersons, with the incredible Sherman Hemsley and Isabel Sanford. So I even remember with All in the Family when Beatrice Arthur as Maude was on All in the Family. And it was just supposed to be a guest spot for that one episode of All in the Family. But the ratings, the response from the general public was something that the producer, Norman Lear, could not ignore. So he thought, you know what? This really works. works, let's give this character Maud, played by Beatrice Arthur, her very own series. And then when the Jeffersons appeared on All in the Family for just one episode, Norman Lear wisely had the brilliant idea to give the Jeffersons their own sitcom as well. Some of the greatest TV shows in the name of comedy ever to air on American television. At least that's my opinion. Anyway, let's move forward with this true or false question. Taxi originally aired on ABC. The hit sitcom Taxi originally aired on ABC. True or false? That happens to be true. The popular sitcom premiered on ABC back in 1978. The series, if you remember, if you saw it, was about a group of New York City taxi drivers. It did move to NBC for its final years. Next up is this, true or false? The 5-0 in Hawaii 5-0 was named so because of the star's age at the time. True or false? The 5-0 in the title of the popular TV show Hawaii 5-0 was 5-0 because that was the age of the show's star. What do you think? True or false? I think you got that one. It's false, and here's why. The popular crime series Hawaii 5-0 would have 5-0 in its title because Hawaii is the 50th state of the United States. Hawaii was admitted to the Union back in 1959. Next up is this, true or false? The Jeffersons in the TV show The Jeffersons owned a deli. Think back if you saw that. Did the Jeffersons in The Jeffersons own a deli? That is false. They actually owned a dry cleaning chain. Next up is this, true or false? Farrah Fawcett starred in all 5 seasons of Charlie's Angels. True or false? Farrah Fawcett starred in all 5 seasons of Charlie's Angels. That happens to be false, and here's why. Charlie's Angels premiered back in 1976 and starred Kate Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and Jacqueline Smith. Farrah Fawcett, believe it or not, I didn't know this, only starred in the first season of the show. However, she would continue to make occasional guest appearances in seasons 3 and 4 of Charlie's Angels. Next up is this, true or false? The Waltons took place during the Great Depression. True or false? The Waltons took place during the Great Depression. What do you think? That happens to be true. The show began its successful run back in 1972 and starred Richard Thomas as John Walton Jr. The show focused on his character by the name of, do you remember? John Boy during the Great Depression and World War II. Next up is this, true or false? Hal Linden starred as Barney Miller in the hit TV show Barney Miller. True or false? Hal Linden starred as Barney Miller in the hit TV show Barney Miller. That happens to be true. Hal played a New York City police captain in that hit show. Next up, true or false? Dick Van Dyke starred in all 11 seasons of The Carol Burnett Show. True or false? Dick Van Dyke starred in all 11 seasons of The Carol Burnett Show. That happens to be false. Here is why. Carol's amazing show, which it's another one that still holds up beautifully to this day, actually debuted back in 1967. Dick Van Dyke appeared during the show's final season, although he didn't appear in every episode of The Carol Burnett Show in its final season. How many seasons did the Carol Burnett Show run for? 11 amazing seasons. We need that show now. I wish it would come back. Next up, another great show I used to watch all the time. In Bewitched, Samantha's mother is named Endora. True or false? In the incredible show Bewitched, Samantha's mother's name is Endora. True. And do you remember who played Endora? If you watched the show, the one and only Agnes Moorehead. And she was brilliant as that character. But again, Agnes Moorehead was a brilliant actress. Next up, true or false? MASH took place during the Korean War. What do you think? True or false? MASH took place during the Korean War. True. Alan Alda and the rest of the MASH cast acted their parts out during the Korean War. Here's another one for you. Rhoda was a spin-off of the TV series Maude. True or false? Rhoda was a spin-off of the TV series Maude. That is false. You probably might remember that Rhoda was a spin-off of the series The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Who played Rhoda? Do you remember? The one and only Valerie Harper. Next is this. True or false? The TV show The Odd Couple, starring Tony Randall, and do you remember who starred with Tony Randall? Jack Klugman. That show hit the air after the movie of the same name. True or false? The TV show The Odd Couple, starring Tony Randall and Jack Klugman, hit the air after the movie of the same name. True or false? Guess. That actually is true. Neil Simon, the great American playwright, Neil Simon wrote a play called The Odd Couple. The play premiered on Broadway in 1965, did very well there, but 3 years later, a film was made of Simon's play. Then the TV show of the same name was created. Two more before we close. Here's the second to last one. Adam 12 took place in New York City. True or false? Adam 12 took place in New York City. False. The series Adam 12, which was on the air for no less than 7 amazing years, took place in Los Angeles. And here is our last and final question of our special TV edition of True or False, and it goes like this. True or false? Mary Richards, the character that Mary Tyler Moore played on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, lived in Washington, D.C. True or false? Mary Richards, the character that Mary Tyler Moore played on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, lived in Washington, D.C. That, my dear friends, is false. Mary Richards lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where she worked in that amazing newsroom with her boss and the crazy weather girl played by Betty White. Mary Tyler Moore Show was stupendous. So many great television shows that unfortunately are not around anymore, but fortunately, you can still catch many of them in reruns. So with that said and done, I will take my leave and look forward to seeing you on our next Live Life Well TV episode of True or False. Thank you so much for joining me. Make it a great day or evening. This has been Robert Landau, Live Life Well TV host. God bless.